Hi, I'm Jill Miller, and this is Indie Author Jill, where we look at books that have either been published by self-published authors or indie publishing houses, I'm sorry. Today we are looking at Storm Captain by E.L. Reeves, and honestly, I bought this book without even knowing what the story was about. I didn't know anything about the book. This is what I like to call a petty buy. Where you just buy something out of pettiness for one reason or another. But E.L. Reeves made a post on Threads, because I practically lived there, where she reposted a comment that somebody had made about the book, saying that the book cover was a cheap knockoff of Brandon Sanderson's Tress of the Emerald Sea. I looked it up, and first of all, there are two different covers that you can get of Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Second of all, I had no idea who Brandon Sanderson was, never read any of his work, didn't even know of Tress and the Emerald Sea. I saw the cover that they were referring to, and it's similar, but I wouldn't say it's a cheap knockoff. It's kind of like how with romance novels, most romance novels have a couple featured on the cover. If there is a kid heavily featured in the story, there's a kid on the cover, either they're off to the side or peeking around the corner somewhere. If there's a baby involved, somebody's holding the baby. Like, the concept of what the cover should be is so standard in the different industries of what different genres typically look like, that I would not consider these being a ripoff of one of the other. I definitely an inspiration, but there's very distinct differences. You can look up the covers yourself and make the comparisons. Because of seeing the comparisons, and a lot of others seem to agree with me that while they were similar and could be easily said that one inspired the other, you couldn't really say that it was a copycat. They do have the similar layering elements, like in Tress of the Emerald Sea is a silhouette against a sunset, a sun, but the sun is a yellow-green, and the whole cover is very green-hued. This one has different colors in it, there's different elements. The picture is similar style, different picture. And all of E.L. Reeves' books in this series have a similar cover to this. So I would just say that it's more in keeping with the genre rather than it is a copycat myself. So, like I said, I bought it. I had no idea what I was getting into. Didn't know what the story was about. Didn't know any of the tropes. But as soon as I started reading it, I couldn't put it down. It was such an easy. It's an easy read. It's a fun read. It's an engaging read. The book mostly is about, this particular book is mostly about Benjamin, who is a slave, and he decides he's done being a slave, he's running away, and he chooses the third ship that comes into port that morning is the one he's getting on, and it just happens to be this pirate ship. So he sneaks onto the ship, and only to find out that not only is it a pirate ship, but it's a magic pirate ship, except they're not pirates in the traditional sense that they steal from other people, or they pillage, or they attack other ships. There's magic in this story, where the captain has the power to harness the power of the storm and do whatever she wants. She can use the storm if she wanted to actually hurt people, kill people, if she really wanted to, but she primarily uses it to rip open a fabric of reality and sail into a different world. And what she does, world hopping is not disallowed in this universe, but taking something from this world and transporting it to this world is illegal, because the item that you take from this world and put in this world could somehow it could influence the people and influence the world in a way that otherwise wouldn't be influenced. For instance, you can't take weapons from this world and take it into this world, where those weapons would have an impact that they wouldn't otherwise have happened. But the captain isn't transporting weapons, she's transporting dishes, because this world does really good with ceramics, so much so that the ceramic dishes she has are very cheap, and most commoners don't even want them because they're so cheap. And she takes them into this world who struggles with making ceramics, and is there an implication that that could have some kind of weird influence on the world? Possibly, I don't know. It would be interesting to see in the later books if that's a possibility. But Ben gets on the ship, and the crew finds him, and he finds out that this is not the cutthroat, like I said, types of pirates. They are kind of a motley crew that kind of came together in a found family sense of the word. And the captain is very, very protective of her crew, to the point where she tells Ben, "You can stay for now, but if you hurt anyone in my crew, I'm tossing you right overboard." And he promises he won't, because he's a good boy. But the cast of characters he ends up running into is a fascinating group, because you've got the captain who can harness the energy and power from the storm. You have her wife, Alyssa, who is an assassin who was actually contracted to kill the captain but fell in love with the captain and married her instead. Then you have Zebediah, who was a blacksmith. His tongue has been cut out, and the captain invited him to join their team. And then there's Vero, the ship mom, who, as Alyssa says, will mother a rock if she can convince it to wear a coat against the chill. Then there's Jonathan, who was a street urchin or street rat that warned at one point in time in his past before joining the crew, had seen that the captain was in danger. He has psychic abilities, and he warned her of the attack before it happened, and she was thankful to him and took him off the streets and brought him onto the crew. And then Benjamin just kind of walked onto the ship, and he finds out that he should not have been able to do that because it's a magic ship. It should have magic protection around it to keep people from finding it, and the fact that he saw it without invitation speaks to his own power. And I thought that was interesting because you kind of have a small glimpse in the first or second chapter of Ben's power, and then as it goes on, he's starting to notice his power a little bit more, and then the crew start telling him, "Yeah, we already knew that you had magic powers," and he starts kind of growing into that power. And they end up in this new town, and in this new town he finds out Ben has been wearing this ring since he was a child around his neck, and it has a beast on it, and he always calls it a beast. But it's not until he's in this new world that he sees this lion sculpture, and he asks Jonathan what it is, and he tells him it's a lion, and he realizes that the beast on his ring is a lion. And they spend some time in this town, and they have a lot of nice moments of just being together, and even those moments where it feels like they're just chilling out and hanging out, there is a banter that shows you the familiarity and the familial status this group has with each other, and every voice has its own unique, they all have their own unique, like, tone and voice and vernacular and wording structure and whatnot. And they get a chance to just kind of learn to be together before the action starts, but you don't feel like it's slow and dead. So then they get the whispers of rumors where another town about 3 days away has experience people going off and then coming back after a few days, which isn't normal because, you know, travel is a thing that happens in this world. However, when the people are coming back, they don't remember where they've been or what they've done, and that's concerning to the captain. So she takes some of the people off she leaves some people on the crew, the rest she takes off, and the one she takes, it's the captain, Alyssa, Zebediah, Vera, Jonathan, and Benji, because they start calling Benjamin Benji, they give him that nickname. But he joins them, and they go from being on the ship, and now it's not a sailing, now it's not a sailing story, now it's a kind of a D&D adventure-esque story. And it keeps you engaged because of all the different things that are happening, and you start to find out that there's more to Benji's past than what even he realized. I'm not going to go too much further into it because spoilers and all that, but it's a great book. I loved it. I held it, like I said, it holds you on throughout the entire book. Now, that all being said, I will say this. If you're not interested in pirates, if you're not interested in adventure stories or D&D stories or sapphic romance, sapphic relationships, or anything that was described in this book, but you are a writer, then go get this book. If you are a writer, buy this book because it is such a great masterclass of how to tell a story well. She does a great job with the, we're all told as writers to show, don't tell, but then we're also told, oh, you gotta tell a little bit. You have to have that balance between show and tell. And E.L. Reeves strikes that balance perfectly in this. She also deals with complex emotions like grief and regret without saying grief and regret. There's a scene where Benji it's his second night on the ship, and he is fully processing that he's free. His first night on the ship, it hasn't set in yet. It hasn't sunk in that he's free. He wakes up the first morning, and he's trying to stay asleep because he just wants to stay in this dream. And then he realizes it's not a dream. He really is on a pirate ship. He really is free. The second night, he goes to bed, and it is very much a, yes, I'm free, I made it, I did this. But then the guilt and the regret of leaving his fellow slaves back behind him and not saving them catch up to him. And the crew hear his distress, and they come and comfort him. And again, it's not said that they're comforting him, but you can tell that they're comforting him the way that they're stroking his hair, the way that they're rubbing his back, the way that they're talking to him and saying, hey, it's not your fault. You aren't strong enough or skilled enough to take them with you. You're not strong enough and skilled enough to go back and get them now. But you will be. You can get stronger. You can get skilled. You can go back and get them. That is all shown really well. There's some POV switchings. I don't necessarily like multiple POVs. I understand that, like with a romance novel, the dual POV is kind of a industry standard that most traditional publishing houses that do romance want to stick with a dual POV. I read one romance where it was 3 point of views. It was the female main character, it was the male main character, and then it was the female main character's sister for some reason. I don't think it really added anything to the story. I don't think it really took anything away from the story either. It was just a weird choice. I'm working on a romance novel my own self, and that's probably going to have a dual POV just because it's kind of necessary to tell the story. But I don't necessarily like the dual POV or the multiple point of views because it doesn't happen well. A lot of writers struggle with doing the point of view switching efficiently and well, and E.L. Reeves does it flawlessly. She does it so organically that you don't even, like, it makes absolute sense. Of course we're seeing things through Ben's point of view. Of course we're seeing things right now through the captain's point of view. Of course we're seeing things from Alyssa's point of view. That all makes sense. And she does it in a way that doesn't make you feel like, oh, okay, now we're switching to this person's point of view. It happens so organically and so flawlessly that you're just right along and it flows so well. This is the first of 4 books. And if the other 3 books are as good as this, then any writer would be well equipped to have all 4 books in their library, because it would be a small library of a masterclass. All the tricks and tips that you're told to do in the creative writing classes, in the different online seminars and workshops, those are all shown here exactly how to do it. And I can't say enough about just how masterfully this is written, to where it is an exemplary tutorial of how to write a story. Even if you're not writing fantasy, even if you're not writing, if you're writing middle grade, if you're writing fantasy, if you're writing young adult romance, it doesn't matter what genre you're in. This is a great book to kind of show you how to pull all that together and to do everything that we're told to do, how to use those techniques that they're trying to teach us in these different workshops and classes that we as writers attend. I absolutely plan on getting the other 3 books as they come out. I will leave a description in the... I will leave a link to the book in the description below. Typically what happens is when I get these books, because I constantly have books coming to me, I might have a problem, I'm sorry. I love books, and that's one of the reasons I started this channel, is because I love these books and I want the indie authors and the self-published authors to get the recognition that they don't have the ability to get, because they don't have the traditional publishing houses and marketing team behind them that you know, that they would have otherwise had. So what I typically do is I have books constantly being sent to me. I'm ordering these books, and then because I only have a limited space on my bookshelf, I have to give the books away after I'm done doing these videos and doing these reviews and everything. And what I do is I try to put them in the hands of people that I know are going to like them. This is something that I would absolutely give to somebody who is in public school, whether it's middle school or high school. Definitely that age group would really enjoy this. And I would do that, and because then they go to school and they show it off to their friends and they're reading it and their friends are like, I need that book. And it helps get the word out about that author. This is going to be an exception to that rule. This is not going out anywhere. I will shout to the world, go buy this book, but this one's staying with me. This one's mine. I'm keeping it on my bookshelf. It has a permanent space next to Rise of the Dragon Witch by Timothy K. Clark, but this one is staying with me, and then I'm going to get the other 3 books, and those are staying with me as well. And I can't tell you enough about how, just go get the book. Buy the book. It is an excellent, like I said, it's an excellent tutorial on how to properly write a book and use the techniques that we're taught all the time. So hit the buttons, click all the things, the like and the subscribe, just hit all the buttons. If you hit the dislike button though, do me a favor and leave a comment as to why you didn't like the video, so that I know what to do, because I can't fix what I don't know is wrong. So, but other than that, hit all the other buttons. And if you liked it, tell me what you liked about it, because that helps too. So, until next time, that is all I have for you. I will see you guys later. Bye.